Okay, today we are playing a game on Hanamura. We are in the Gold SR range, and we will be playing Toes the entire way through. And before we start today, I want to address a question in the email because it doesn't relate to this game in particular, so we're just going to do it now instead. And it is, I tend to be a bit more aggressive than some Rhines, especially at the Gold SR rank. As such, I know half my deaths are due to my own misplays and overextending. Is it necessarily a bad thing that as Rhine I want to run in and swing my hammer all over the place? No, it's not, because that's essentially the end point that we're trying to work towards as Reinhardt. Get in, crack skulls. The thing is that there's a process we have to go up to that point. We have to fill in all the forms, send the paperwork off, and then we are allowed to go in and swing our hammer. But that is the end point we're trying to get to. There are three kinds of Reinhardt players. There are ones that are suicidally overconfident and just charge through the choke point so basically as soon as the round starts, and then they die, and then they go, team, what the fuck, why do I have the gold damage medal? And then we have the Reinhardt players that sit at the choke point too afraid to push the W key in case they get clapped. And then the third type are the 12 or so people that have actually figured out how to play Reinhardt. No, I'm not one of them. I do stupid shit all the time, in case you're wondering. But that's your breakdown, really. So, no, we're trying to get there, and I always say that, like, when you're trying to learn how to play a hero, you should play them extremely aggressively, with the understanding that you will fuck up and you will die because you were playing too aggressively. But as long as you learn something from when you die because you were too aggressive, this is how you end up getting a very good understanding of the hero's limits, because you go in, you go do the aggro thing, and you die, and you think to yourself, okay, I died. Why did I die? We go down the flowchart. Why did I die? Did I die because I made a poor decision, or did I die because of a mechanical error? If I died because of a mechanical error, don't make that mechanical error again, practice, basically. If I died because I made a dumb decision, alright, so what could I have done instead? And if we're currently in the process of playing extremely aggressively, the answer is probably, I did something too aggressive. So the next time I am in a similar situation to what I was just in, instead of doing that, I'll do this. So you just dial it back a little bit every time you die. You go, alright, that was too aggressive, pull it back a little bit. Still died, okay, pull it back a little bit more. Still died, but it was closer that time. Pull it back a little bit again. Alright, it worked this time. Try it again. Did it still work? It still worked. Okay, this is probably how aggressive I'm allowed to be in this kind of situation. And that's how you end up getting a very good understanding of what the absolute limits of your hero are. Because if you play very passively, you're less likely to fuck up and die, because you're not in very many hazardous situations as a result. However, the trade-off for that is that you're going to miss out on myriad opportunities that you could have had if you were playing more aggressively. Playing passively does not win you the game. Fundamentally, you have to play aggressively to win the game. Because how do you win the game in Overwatch? You dominate the space that the objective is on. Hence, dominate, meaning I have to firmly control this space to actually capture it, right? I can't sort of be in control of it, because as long as there's one enemy alive, I'm not capturing the point. It's being contested. So you have to dominate the space to actually win the round. So you have to play aggressively to pull that off, on some level at least. So, anyway, turning into an incoherent tangent at this point, but no, it's not necessarily a bad thing that you're playing aggressively as Reinhardt. We're trying to get to swinging our hammer at people. You just have to go through the process. And as long as you're learning something when you die from your own misplays, you're saying you die because of your own misplays and dumb mistakes. Like, as long as you acknowledge it was a misplay and then learn from that going forward, there's nothing wrong with it, as long as you're learning from the mistakes. So anyway, let's start the game. So, Toes, attacking Hanamura. This is pre-nerf Toes, as we can see. That's okay, it's not really the end of the world. His core playstyle hasn't changed, there's just less margin for error now. So Roadhog just got picked off immediately, so good start for us, obviously. And then Orisa died over there in recompense, but there Mercy just rezzed him, so nothing ended up happening in the end. So, Roadhog, he's not gonna really help us get through this doorway very much, unfortunately, like, outside of, like, getting a pick on somebody. This would be a lot easier to do on the new patch, because Roadhog can break Orisa's barrier in one clip. He doesn't have to reload, barring other damage coming in at the same time, but presently, we're gonna have a little bit of trouble getting through the doorway. That's very unfortunate. He just got, like, snatched up right behind us there. We've almost got Gravitic Flux built up. We also, one of our DPS is Torbjorn, so he's not necessarily bringing much to helping us get through this choke point right now. At least till he gets his ultimate, then he'll be a little bit more helpful. But, conveniently, their Moira ended up getting picked off, so that makes it a lot easier to get through the door when the enemy teams lost their main healer. I'm mostly wondering, like, I'm going back mostly to try and figure out where Farah is, to be honest with you right now, because, like, they've got a pharmacy, and we just, like, haven't really had any dealings with them. Which, I mean, fantastic news for us, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, it's there, yeah, there. You go, buddy. So, hey, here comes Orisa. Orisa has apparently not noticed that we're capturing the point behind her. That was very scary. We survived. That's okay. Farah wasted her ultimate. It was not exactly a smart ultimate to go for, and now Farah just changed to Mei, so... Oh, good job, Moira. She threw herself off the map. Good job, good job. Rather than just feeding more ult charge. Now, ideally, Moira just doesn't do that to begin with, then she doesn't have to die, but, at least she didn't give anybody the ult charge. So, we've got Gravitic Flux. We don't really have anything to combo it with, so Gravitic Flux by itself not necessarily going to capture us the point. But they don't have a defensive ultimate, which means that Gravitic Flux is a lot better than it usually is as a result, because it kind of gets shut down pretty hardcore by defensive ultimates. They don't have one, so it might just be enough to capture the point, depending on how things are going. So we get into a fight with this Mercy and this Mei, but they're, like, entirely alone. So they just kind of get clapped over an extended period of time. I've gone back here because we're looking at Symmetra. Like, I've just heard Orisa put the bongo down very clearly in my right ear, and we, like, don't really notice until right after we're about to jump off the edge, so we can't really help with that one too much anymore. Getting stuck on the railing. Probably don't need to point out why that one didn't work out too well, Only using it on the one person to begin with, not exactly a particularly exciting use of company resources. Because the thing is as well, is that, like, even though we start winning the fight, we're on a 2CP map, we know that they're going to start coming out of these choke points pretty quickly, so I would have much rather saved the ultimate, regardless, just to catch people as they're coming back out to touch the point, rather than trying to use it to kill, like, the one person that's still on the point. Here, She managed to build it up pretty quickly, but it's something that's worth being ready to try and absorb when Mei's in this kind of situation, because quite frequently Mei's will come out of cryo freeze and then immediately try to chuck their ult out. So you kind of have to do a read on it, but, like, if you think Mei might have her ultimate, the best thing you can do in that kind of situation is, like, press right up to the ice block, and then right when she's gonna, about before she pops out, you use your kinetic grasp or defense matrix, either way, and then as soon as she comes out, you absorb it. And you do want to be doing it, like, immediately for that kind of thing, because ideal play for Mei is throw it directly at the ground, so it's less likely to get absorbed. So you do have to be, like, really on her for that. But, you gotta make the read as to whether or not Mei is gonna have her ultimate or not there. I don't think it was particularly, right there. She built it up pretty quickly, so I wouldn't have expected her to have it there, but if you think she's got it, that's, like, the best thing you can do in that kind of situation. But we captured the point regardless, so it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, we're playing Toes, so we do kind of have an obligation to try and eat ultimates like that if they happen. It's not... You don't have to worry about it as much as if you were playing D.Va, because it's much more D.Va's thing. D.Va having a resource-based ability in Defense Matrix is a lot better than Kinetic Grasp, which is purely cooldown-based. D.Va's ultimate used to work exactly like Kinetic Grasp does, and it was fucking awful, dude. D.Va used to be such a bad hero. Cooldown, it was like a 12-second cooldown Defense Matrix, and Self-Destruct killed her. Oh god, it was dark times for D.Va. Anyway, so it's much more D.Va's thing, but Toes, he can absorb ultimates, so it's something you do have to try and think about, though you're not held to the same degree that, like, D.Va is over these things, because D.Va's just, she's got a much easier time eating ultimates than Toes does. So right here, should have put our shield up, like, a bit before the shield breaks, really, because ideally, we see her shield's about to break, we put our shield up behind it right before it breaks, and then we're immediately just, like, blocking damage. Hopefully, Orisa, like, comes forward and puts her shield down quickly again, so we can take ours down. But, you know, we should have been ready for that one, because sometimes, like, if you're not on that, people can just die right behind the barrier. So, like, right around now, this barrier can't have more than, like, 100 or so health on it. Should have put the shield up in anticipation of it breaking. Or, like, walk forward and use Kinetic Grasp if you, like, really don't want to use your shield. Either way, now we put the shield down. You know, a few shield breaks in, but we got there in the end. That's the important thing. And no one died. And if you don't get punished, dog, you don't have to learn. That's what I always say. So here comes Reinhardt, swinging into us. They've lost their Moira, but now they have an Ana as well. Now Ana's dead as well, so not looking good for them anymore. They've lost both their healers. Our shield is up right now. Like, we should have put our shield down during this whole process on the point, because obviously we want to come forward and contest the point. You know, we pretty much look like we're gonna win the fight at this point, but we have to come forward and contest it anyway. Just put it down so we can start shield dancing. Rather than, you know, or just, like, block damage if they don't want to come in and fight us, rather than, like, hovering around at, like, 90 health completely unprotected. Could have also waited a little bit longer than that to go in and touch the point, because right now they have to fully capture both checkpoints for it to matter. So them capturing like 40% or like 50% on the first checkpoint doesn't matter, because as long as they don't get another tick, it doesn't matter how much they gain on this first checkpoint. So it was like right after the first tick on that one. We could have waited a couple of seconds longer before we go forward and touch it, just because it really doesn't matter if they capture an odd amount. They have to get full intervals. Very nice bend on the hammer we've got right there. So, again, like right around now, we should be putting the shield up so that it starts blocking immediately afterwards, because that would have prevented this from happening. It's just one of those things where when you're playing with an Orisa, you want to be ready to cover when her shield is down. Because you want to let Orisa's shield be doing most of the blocking. This is still true now, after the changes as well. You want Orisa's shield to be doing most of the blocking, and you're there to cover in between, and cover the odd angles as well if you have to. So you want to be ready and, like, paying attention. Like, alright, her shield's getting pretty fucking low at this point. I'll put mine up now. And then you, like, trade it back and forth as much as you can. If you don't have much on your own shield at the time, maybe you had to use it a second ago to cover an odd angle, so you've only got, like, 500 health on your shield or something. You don't really want to put it up right now, because you're trying to let it regenerate a little bit first. Just, like, walk forward and hold Kinetic Grasp, and that's good enough for a lot of situations. It wasn't good enough there, as we saw, because Reinhardt's using Earth Shatter. So you have to think about, like, the enemy team, because if Reinhardt's not there to ult like that, doing that with Kinetic Grasp would have been perfectly fine. It's just Reinhardt using Earth Shatter is something we have to consider from the enemy team, so Kinetic Grasp won't cover that. Anyway, so we're chasing after this Moira right now, who's ended up in an unusual position, to say the least, and now she's fucking dead. Surprise, the rest of the enemy team is still coming out the doorway behind us. Now, their Ana changed to Lucio, so they no longer have a main healer once Moira died. things are looking pretty good for us at this point. I always do this, and I don't know why. Whenever I see Reinhardt start charging, my gut instinct is always Kinetic Grasp. Even though this is definitely wrong and will no way protect me, for some reason, I always do it. It's like when you're playing, like, D.Va, right, and Mei starts freezing you, and you're like, oh, Defense Matrix. It's just, like, this guttural reaction you have of, like, oh, God, danger, must stop danger. You push the danger stop button, but it just, like, doesn't help with things like that. I do that all the time, and I'm always mad about it. So, I don't know if we're looking for Tracer or not right now, if we're just, like, up here for the sake of it. It was kind of a weird motion that we did, so I assume we were looking for somebody. I'm so amazed that worked. I remember the dark times when Earthshatter, like, if you used it on, like, a shallow incline, odds were good, it just got absorbed entirely. So, like, I look at this and I'm like, holy fuck, like, 7 months ago, that would have absolutely done nothing. It's like 7 months ago that changed? It was a while ago at this point, it might have been longer than that. Anyway, old Earthshatter would have said fuck you in that situation. How far we've come. So, unfortunately, missed the activate. I think we actually might have line of sighted it on the bell. Yeah, because that looks like it should have gotten D.Va. I think we ended up line of sighting it on the bell, unfortunately. Or was it just a timing thing? It looked like it should have got her. Yeah, she was like right on the edge. We might have line of sighted it. Either way, fair enough time to try and use it. Oh, Tracer threw herself off the map. Good job, Tracer. Also, I'm sorry, I just cracked my knuckles right into the microphone, so that will have sounded great. Fair enough time to use Kinetic Grasp. We just didn't catch the bad men with it. You know, aim better and all that. Classic advice, very helpful, of course. A lot of actionable things can be taken from aim better. So, we can see slowly they gain more Stolly boys, because Hammond has now appeared on their team. Is Reinhardt going to change, or is he going to stick on Reinhardt? He's 50%, so he's justified to stay. Ryan builds his ult really fast. So he just tried to use Rock Throw on Hammond right there, correct? Things are looking good, like we're going to get him. Yeah, so I find it a lot easier with Toes catching Hammond like this. You want to wait, because, like, this is already pretty sketchy. He's, like, moving away from us at, like, this angle, so he's, like, probably gonna outrun the rock anyway. It's a lot easier to wait for him to start coming around on the next loop, because once he starts coming around the corner like this, it's a lot easier to just clap him in the face as he's coming towards you, rather than trying to get him as he's running away from you at the time. It's one of those things where the reaction is usually stop Hammond as soon as possible, but with Hammond, it's usually better to, like, give it an extra round, wait for him to get the loop, start looping back towards you again, and then try to get him. Sometimes he's gonna juke you as well, but, like, to be honest with you, Hammond players very rarely do that. They are usually pretty keyed in and are just gonna keep spinning, but every now and then you'll find a Hammond player that will actually juke you, and it will be extremely jarring and upsetting that it happened. But such is life. So, what we got today, so the art stuff's appearing now. I'm trying to learn how to draw. I'm very bad, but one day, you never know. So I can't really tell you if any of these are helpful or not, because I'm still bad, but I think they are. And then Northern Line's great, Seth, Scene Tatch is great also. Yongye is good, like, video game news coverage kind of stuff. Sort of opinion pieces, but mostly just, like, news coverage. And Northern Lion, my favorite YouTuber. Good stuff. Great job, YouTube, I suppose. So, can't really think of a huge thing that stood out in that round. I guess just, like, not using our shield to cover Orissa's downtime enough was the biggest thing. Other than that, not much to say about it, really. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. I've started streaming on Twitch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 p.m. EST till 11 EST. There's a link to the channel in the description. And if you managed to make it through the entire video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future, and I hope you found the video helpful.